right. So welcome, business owners. We have a special treat this month. There's two books, if you're a business owner, that I always suggest that you start with. One is The E-Myth. The second book you have to buy is SYSTEMology. And that's our guest today, David Jenyns.
Yeah, it's definitely a pleasure to be on the show today.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate it. So anyways, I'm going to hand it over to you and let you share your knowledge with the world.
Well, I think the first couple of things to think about is what is a system? So we're all on the same page. Like I think of it as a consistent set of steps that when followed produce a consistent outcome. To simplify what form that could take, maybe that's a little checklist. Maybe it's just a video that you record on your phone while something is getting done. And that might be version one of a system. So oftentimes what business owners tend to do is overcomplicate or imagine what they think a system is and how much work it's going to be to create it. And then that becomes part of the overwhelm. If we can at first think about simplifying what a system might be. And then if we start to think, just because we don't systemize something doesn't mean it's going to magically stop happening in your business. So when we get started, really what we do is we try and identify the 80-20. We just identify what are the key essential parts of the business, what is essential, delegatable, and repeatable. And we start there first. And we want to make sure that we just get simple systems in place, a little video recording here. The purpose of doing this is to make sure that certain things, essential things, get done in a consistent way without the oversight of the business owner feeling like they need to micromanage or keep across something, because the expectation is more clearly outlined and defined in a system, because a system really helps to outline expectation of why you need to do something, how it needs to be done, and what success looks like. And your business really is a collection of these simple systems. And that's the other thing. Your business isn't broken. Like you can get tremendous wins by just capturing what you're currently doing and find out who is already doing the thing really well, who's answering the phone when the incoming call comes in, who's issuing out an invoice, who's onboarding the client, who's doing some of your LinkedIn marketing. Figure out where these tasks are already getting done and who's doing it to a good enough standard and make that repeatable. Because then you can bring everybody up to that standard. Most small businesses struggle with repeatability. And this goes a long way to making sure that you can be consistent and repeatable and remove that key person dependency that you were talking about and make sure that you're more process dependent. So there's like a few ideas there. And I know we'll probably be able to go in lots of different directions. The other thing to realize is that this is a game of compounding. And you add one little system in and you might not see a huge change. It's just a micro 1% win. You add another one in, you get another 1% win. But if you fast forward 6-12 months in the future, all of those micro 1% wins, at some point, you reach this inflection point. And it's the turning point in the business where you just go off on this exponential curve, because now all of the benefits of those smaller systems have started to compound and started to produce results. And a lot of times the business owner gives up within that first 3 months. You know, they read the SYSTEMology book, they listen to this podcast episode, they get all excited and they give it a good go and they go, yes, I tried that for 3 months. It didn't work. I put systems in place. My team didn't follow the process. We're too creative to have systems. Our systems always change. Like they come up with all of these excuses and reasons and they abandon it and they don't get the result. And the issue was they just didn't persist with it long enough before the results actually started to shine through and become more obvious. So, but they're definitely some of the challenges business owners face.
Yeah. What would you say? So what I also love about SYSTEMology is you kind of take a different angle and you start with the customer. So share a little bit about that so that somebody has an idea of where to start, you know, how to get a handle on it.
Okay, so we all agree that they're important and they need to happen at some point in time. Then the next question is, well, where do I start? because there's an infinite number of things that could be systemized, as you said, and that can kind of lead to overwhelm. So we then have to go down to the essential and think, what is the business here to do? Like you're looking to build a profitable enterprise that works without you. And to do that, what needs to happen? Well, the business needs to be able to sell a product or a service that has no key person dependency. Because if the business can make money without key person dependency, it can actually solve just about any other problem. Because almost any other problem in business can be solved with money, because you just pay for the consultant to come in and fix that thing, or you get the new team member, or you buy the new software. So at the heart of it, we just need to make sure that this money machine can work and we can build a machine that can deliver a core product or service. So that, with that idea in mind, the first step in SYSTEMology is we map what we call the critical client flow, which is we map the linear journey that the prospect, as they turn into a client and the business delivers the core product or service, what does that look like? And that becomes the starting point. You say, how do you grab the attention of the target audience? How do you handle the incoming inquiry? How do you sell them? What is your sales process? How do you onboard them? How do you take money and, do you take 50% up front and 50% on completion, or do you take all the money up front? And then how do we get them into your system and deliver that core product? And then how do we hand it over and get them to come back? And you map that first, and then you ask the question, where in my critical client flow is the pain? Where is the area that you as the business owner, whether consciously or subconsciously, are avoiding or knowing that piece is painful? I see this all the time. Business owners, they might be great salespeople, and they already know they're already operating at capacity. And they know, if I sell this person, this prospect that I'm chatting with now, that's actually going to equal pain, because I'm already busy. I'm already full. I'm going to struggle if I add a new client in here, and I'm going to have to do the onboarding and getting them all set up. And then whether consciously or subconsciously, they start to push prospects away, and they try and, disqualify them or say that they're not right or whatever. And they undermine their skill as a salesperson. Whereas if they had the confidence to know that we can deliver an amazing product or service at scale, and I can feel confident that I can deliver on the promises that I make in the sales process, then they're going to be able to sell infinitely harder, because they're not going to have it in the back of their mind that they're going to make a promise that they then can't keep. Yeah. So it's, if you asking the question, where is the pain, or saying, if we got 10 times the amount of customers or leads that we have currently, what breaks first inside the critical client flow? And you go to work on that. For some people, it's leads. For some people, it's the delivery or doing of the work. For some people, it's sales. For some, every business is a little bit different and depends on sort of the unique circumstance. But the critical client flow identifies the mission critical systems that the business needs to make money. And then you can narrow the focus further based on what's going on in the business and what's going to get the immediate biggest win.
So I believe you have a storage system. Would you like to talk about that, of how to, I think the organization of these things, because if I found that if people can't find what they're looking for, the process, they won't use it.
You want to make sure, as you're introducing systems into your team, that you make this as easy as possible for them, because your best team members, like you, the business owner, they're probably already very busy. And the last thing that they want to do also is sit down and create systems and processes, because they've got 100 other things that are infinitely more important. There are clients they've got to get back to. There's priorities that you or other team members may have given them, and writing a process feels important but not urgent. So we need to think about, if we want to break that habit of I'll just do it myself, we need to start to think about, how can we bring it to their awareness? How can we make it easy? One of the things that we do is we suggest you get and identify someone in your team called a systems champion. And it's the person who really drives this initiative, where they might meet with the knowledgeable worker. They might record them doing the task, and then they do the documentation, and then they store it into the software and make it central and put the links everywhere, because that's about making it easy. So when you first start out, you want to keep it simple. And if you've got no systems at all, just use Google Docs or something like that. It's better than nothing. You need a starting point, right? Then over time, as you start to grow and then you recognize that the systems are one of, if not the most important asset in your business, you should then start to give those systems some respect. Because, I mean, the team is another really important asset, but they also come and go. The systems are going to remain with you. So it's the only valuable asset that goes with you everywhere and stays with you all the time. So you want to give it the respect that it deserves by being the most valuable asset. You then start to think about, how do I store these? How can I make it central? How can I make sure that the team can use it? How can I make sure that this is easy? How can I make sure that all of the IP and this is how we do it here and the business brain is stored somewhere outside of the heads of the people that can come and go and things change? And so that's a big part of it. So we developed a software called System Hub, and that's what that particular platform does. It's just a place to store it. And whether it's you use System Hub or something else or whatever, as long as you take away the key lesson that you need to have this stored somewhere centrally that everybody can access, rather than having it, oh, that's in a folder on Jenny's desktop. Oh, that's in a Google Drive folder in here. Oh, no, well, that one's in a printed checklist sitting by the computer over next to the computer over there. Like, you have to, if it's everywhere, it's nowhere. We need to make sure that all of this knowledge is centrally located. And then there's a few little bit of extra nuance that you have to go through. Then thinking about, how do we then, once we've got these systems, continually have it under the nose of the team members at the time at which they're assigned a task. So if you're using project management platform, you put a link to it inside the task as it's been assigned to them. If you're inside a bakery and you're about to stand next to the mixing machine, you get a QR code that someone can scan on their phone and they jump to the system directly so it pops up straight for them. You just need to make sure that the point at which they're doing the task, the how-to information is readily accessible and easily accessible.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sharing this because I think it can relate to a lot of us. The business owner actually made this comment. He said, I now truly understand the difference of not having SOPs, because it's like having, back in the day, we had copiers. So it's like having a copy. When you made a copy, you always wanted the original. But if you make a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, it starts getting diluted and looks ugly. And that's what SOPs are. We have them written down, and so everyone's following them. Yeah. Would you agree with that? I mean, what have you found?
Yeah. And one of the biggest things that small business struggles with is repeatability and consistency. And if you can solve that problem, because that's really all your clients want. Your clients want to know what they're going to expect. And, McDonald's doesn't make the best burger. They just deliver a burger consistently. So you know what you're getting. So a big part of this is figure out, at least as step number one, we can optimize and improve and get better over time. But first, figure out who's currently doing the thing really well. Let's codify and quantify and systemize what's getting done and bring everybody up to that standard and make sure everybody follows the process. So we say, this is how we do it here. And once that happens, you can get tremendous wins in the business just by bringing everybody up to that standard. And that becomes the new baseline. Yes, over time we can optimize and improve, but all of that comes later. And it's also one of the reasons that SYSTEMology is so different from everything that's come before it. All of the process improvement methodologies that have come before it, Six Sigma and Lean and some of these big methodologies, it's in the name. It's process improvement. It pre-assumes that you have already identified what your process is and you're now trying to improve the process and optimize it. But most small businesses haven't yet captured their first version or how they're doing something. So SYSTEMology comes a little bit before that. SYSTEMology is actually about process capture. And it's how do we identify what our best practice is that'll be our new benchmark, and let's start there. Because tremendous wins happen from that consistency.
But what do you kind of see? If it's done right, should we work on one a week and over a period of time we have 50 to 100, or, and then kind of like when can we start seeing some results?
I generally suggest going in sprints of about 15 to 20 systems, not much more than that at any one point in time, where you'll sit down and you'll do a sprint. Now, how quickly you get that sprint done, maybe you do that in a month. Maybe you do that in 3 months. You need a systems champion or someone on your team whose responsibility this is to support the other team members and really champion it and keep it front and center and make sure it's obvious. So you want to give them a little bit of capacity. We also want to make sure it's easy for our team to do. So that systems champion might be doing the documentation. So if you had a systems champion identified and you leant in and you said, right, I'm going to do those first 15 to 20 systems within the first 3 months, you'll start to see really good positive results. And that'll kind of pump you up to keep going. But you just start to get a whiff of it, almost like a little bit of a nibble at that point in time. Generally speaking, you're looking at, I would say at least 9 to 12 months of chipping away at this, and you'd probably get 3 or 4 sprints completed over that period of time. And then you reach what we call minimum viable systems. It's the minimum number required of systems to run your business. That's that inflection point that I was talking about that you really want to make. So I think if you make a decision and you say, I'm going to do this, you want to really give yourself at least 12 months and make this legitimate. Find a systems champion on your team or give it someone's responsibility. Get them a copy of the SYSTEMology book. Say, I need your help to implement this. I'm going to give you space and capacity to make sure this happens. This is not just a little task I've tacked on as responsibility and you're already busy. Like, we need to make sure there's space for it. And then you empower that systems champion to meet with the knowledgeable workers, extract what they're doing and develop these systems. And you can't unsee it. Now, every business that you've been in since, I'm sure, you think about systems. Like, once you see it, it's night and day difference. And you can't go back to working in a business that has a lack of systems.
Absolutely. And I want to give one tip, not to steal your thunder, but one tip that I have seen time and time and time again are these businesses that complain they can't find good help. And I'm like, good help is out there. You're just not ready for them. They call them A players. A players don't want to work for a business that has no systems. They don't want to try to figure things out themselves. They want to come in. What do you want me to do? How do you want me to do it? And I'll crush it. But they get tired. They get exhausted. And so they leave. And that's why most business owners can't keep those A players.
And I guarantee if the business owner is saying, I can't find great staff, they won't have a very good recruitment system. They don't have a way that they are constructing a position description and writing a job ad, just like you would writing an ad to bring customers in. You have to think, who is the target audience? How do I make it attractive to them? Why would A players want to apply for this position? How can I make it attractive enough that amongst the sea of the other job ads that mine stands out and speaks to them? And like, that is at the heart of having a good recruitment process, like understanding who you want to attract, making sure that they will get attracted and it's interesting, and then have a process for the stars to identify and self-select themselves. Like, most people just, oh, you're a warm body. Okay, I'll hire you. And then they wonder why they get average staff.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Totally agree. So I highly encourage you to get SYSTEMology. It's an awesome book. It'll at least get your business started, simplistic with SOPs. And is there anything else you want to share? It's your call. I mean, how to get in contact. Are you open to connections on LinkedIn? Some people are, some people aren't. I mean, how would somebody get in touch with you?
But that's really the starting point. Head to Amazon, run a search for the book. And then if you want more help, you can dig a bit deeper. You just go to SYSTEMology.com. We have a range of additional ways that we can support. Like, the book is useful and complete, but if you want an online program that goes deeper, or you want to join a group program with other business owners, or if you want to work one-on-one with one of our systemologists, we've got some options there. There's also all of the links through to my social stuff, which you'll find. I'm happy to connect on LinkedIn. We've got a YouTube channel that we publish out at least a couple of pieces of content a week.
Well, you've been fantastic. This has been solid information. Again, it's a treat. I sincerely thank you again. And just reach out, buy the book, reach out, connect with David, and we will see you next month with another star.